Hundreds of thousands of people know about the law of attraction, but many of us and most of us have difficulties in bringing it into manifestation in our lives. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about two things that could be taking place in our lives that by bringing them to awareness, we will be able to put the law of attraction into practice, become harmonious with it, and manifest the desires of our heart. Stay tuned. Welcome to Inner Lights. My name is Angela, and as I've mentioned before, there are a few things that can be taking place in our lives that we are not aware of that could be blocking us from fulfilling the desires of our heart and being in harmony with the law of attraction. Number one is this: the universe is a reflection of the belief that you have about yourself. So if you are unconsciously holding on to the beliefs and limitations such as I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, I'm too old, or I'm too young, I don't have the education, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time. If you are unconsciously entertaining those thoughts again and again, you could be doing all the exercises that are recommended to put into practice the law of attraction, such as visualization, getting in touch with the feeling of already having that. But if you have a limiting belief about yourself operating in the background, it will keep you from moving forward. I just participated in an event from Tony Robbins, the Unleash the Power Within, and actually he gave us an exercise in which he encouraged us to write down every limiting belief that we have about ourselves. And believe it or not, according to him, who have interviewed some really powerful and prosperous people all over the world, he said that the most common belief is that we are not enough. We have this unconscious belief that we are not good enough, or that we are not enough, or there's some correction that needs to take place. And by putting those things into paper and bringing them to our awareness is actually a great start. Because what we have to do is to recognize that limiting beliefs, they have consequences. In other words, if you keep on thinking a limiting belief again and again and again, it will have a consequence in your life. And by you realizing that it does have a consequence, it makes it easier for you to decide that from now on you want to change in your life. Now, beliefs are thoughts that we have been thinking about again and again and again, and by the repetition of us thinking those thoughts over and over, they become a belief, but they are not necessarily truth. So the correction that we have to do, first of all, is to recognize when a limiting belief presents itself to us, which you will be doing in the form of a thought. We have to realize that we have the ability either to embrace it or just to reject it, or to just, what Tony Robbins will do, he will use strong words with his own limiting belief. He will say BS, I'm not going to say the whole word here, but that's why he said to shut down that belief from being entertained in our mind again and again. So it's the recognition when a belief introduces itself to us in the form of a thought, just to take a step back and to realize that it doesn't have to be that way. Another thing that he encourages us is to write down substitute beliefs for the ones that you just wrote. For example, I am more than enough. I do have what it takes. I'm not this physical body, therefore I'm not either too old or too young. I'm actually ageless. I do have the capacity to fulfill my dreams, on and on. Just create a set of beliefs that you're going to be using, that you're going to be thinking about it, contemplating about it, entertaining about it, that will begin to transform your consciousness from a limiting perception about yourself to a more accurate perception about yourself. I do love Joel Goldsmith's writing, in which he says that in our process of awakening, we need to spiritualize our consciousness. And since he was a Christian mystic, he would spiritualize his consciousness by contemplating scripture again and again and again. So for those of us who are not too mystical, we can contemplate truths about ourselves that does not necessarily relate to scriptures in the Bible or things like that, but just statements of truth that makes us feel good about life, that makes us feel good about ourselves, that makes us realize that if we were created in the image and likeness of that which created us, so that means that there is something about ourselves that have access to wisdom, to power, to abundance, to so much more. As a matter of fact, that is the truth about us. But we have entertaining a limiting perception about ourselves that have consequences and that keep us down, keep us from being able to move forward. Unfortunately, some people think that when the circumstances around me change, then I will change how I feel about myself. But the law of attraction states that everything begins with us. The universe is a reflection of ourselves. The universe is reflecting back to us the belief that we have about ourselves. So we cannot wait for the outside circumstances to change in order for us to change how we feel about ourselves. We need to begin to make the correction in the projector room. We need to begin to have new thoughts about ourselves, more empowering thoughts about ourselves. And the second point, which is just as important, is in the law of attraction, in order for it to work, everything starts with how we perceive and how we react to the circumstances of life that is taking place right now. In other words, if things are happening in our lives, especially things that trigger us, and we continue to perceive them in the same way and we continue to react in the same way, our reaction in and of itself will create more of the same. So once again, the correction is not to be done outside. The correction needs to be done within ourselves, especially when we are triggered. So one of the things that we can do when we are triggered is to realize that when you feel triggered by an event in your life, there is a physiological change in you. For example, you feel accelerated, your heart is beating a little faster. There is the energy of frustration, there is the energy of resentment, there is the energy of anger. If you can realize that when a trigger takes place, that instead of seeing it as a problem, if you can begin to train yourself to see it as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for change, an opportunity for transformation. And if you take a step back, if you can for 1 minute, take a deep breath, bring your awareness away from the event and into your physiology. See if you can calm yourself down. See if you can relax for 1 minute by taking deep breaths and by regulating how you're feeling emotionally inside. Then you can look at the situation and begin to know that if you react differently to it, you will stop bringing the same event to happen again and again in your life. So the correction is done in the reaction, how you react, because your reaction have creative power. So if you want to stop creating unconsciously by reacting to events of life as you have always done, and you want to begin to consciously create a different future, the key here is how you perceive and how you react. Because the truth is, 10 people could be witnessing the same event and they will all have a different perception and a different reaction to the event. So the problem is not in the event, it's how we see the event and how we react to the event. I love the recommendation from Michael Singer, the author of the book, The Untethered Soul. He said that when you are triggered, relax. Don't react. Relax instead, which goes along with what I was trying to share to you. So you can begin in a practical way. You can begin with minor things. For example, let's say you're driving and all of a sudden there was an accident and now there is a traffic jam and you're caught in the traffic jam. Instead of reacting like you used to with frustration or with anger let's say somebody cut you off and you're angry about that, if you can do the practice right there and then, take a deep breath, focus on your inner body, know that you can react differently. Instead of reacting with frustration, instead of reacting with anger, you can just center yourself in peace, know that there is opportunity for growth here, take a deep breath and react differently. It's like when life gives you lemons, why not make a lemonade? Put some water, some ice, some sugar, turn the negative event into a positive experience. So 2 points. So remember that the universe is a reflection of your belief about yourself, and if you want to change using the law of attraction, the change begins with how you react, with your reaction to the event. And last but not least, if you are on the spiritual path and if you want to put the law of attraction into practice, why not go for the gold? And the gold is this, and I'm going to quote a scripture here. It is said in the scripture that if you seek first the kingdom of heaven, everything else will be added unto you. What does it mean? The kingdom of heaven is nothing more a specific state of being within yourself, a specific state of consciousness. It is a state of consciousness that feels connected to Source. It is the state of consciousness that is present in the present moment. It is the state of consciousness that trusts life, that trusts that life is for you, not against you. It is a state of consciousness that allows joy and bliss to arise from within. If we seek to live in that state of consciousness, knowing a little bit more about it each day, putting it into practice, then it is said that everything else will be added unto us. The harmonious relationships, the abundant life, the health of the body, everything else will be the added thing. But in the early stages, we are tempted to look for the added things. And when we do, we're going to experience sometimes having it and sometimes the absence of it. We don't realize that when we are looking for those things outside of ourselves, we're looking for them because we think that they're going to make us feel good. But if you attain a specific state of consciousness that allows you to feel good right here and right now, in spite of what's going on around you, then you will be able to experience not only some measure of freedom, but everything else will be added unto you. I hope you have enjoyed this message. Feel free to share it with your friends. If you have not done so, please subscribe to my channel to help it grow. And having said that, from my heart to your heart, I see you in love and light. Thank you. Namaste.